Hello, hello, and welcome to today's Materialize TV. It is already December 2021, and we are here decompressing a little bit and we are going to talk about belief today because that is what we had as our last podcast last week on destiny culture. And we had episode 4 drop last week, and then today episode 5 is dropping with our guest Christy Harang. So be sure and check that one out because we will be discussing that one next Thursday right here on Materialize TV. And so you will want to hear all that Christy has to say, and the value that she adds is phenomenal. She is extremely gifted, and the ministry that she works with does incredible things. So you'll want to check that out and then come in and join us in that discussion next week. So as we are sitting here kind of even behind the scenes, Melissa Kessler here with me as part of Team Uncoached. Today we're just chatting before we hit go live about just the incredible weight that is present in the lives of so many people right now in our world. We're moving, of course, we're in the holiday season. I was going to say moving into the holiday season. It is here. And I don't know how it got here so fast, but it's here. And so things are still happening, and there is such a heaviness, I feel like, that is sort of looming, which Satan would want nothing more than to loom his heaviness and lies and destruction and confusion and misguidance and all of those things that do weigh us down. And people need healing more than ever. People are desiring belief more than ever. Like you get to a place, depending on where you are in life and the situations that are attacking you, where it feels like, how can I even believe anymore? Or things get to be so wrong in a sense that it's hard to believe that there is good, that there is beauty and joy happening when you're in the throes of it, And so it's good to have these conversations to both step into the place of pain where some people are right now and be present with people in their suffering and in their pain. And also to be that light and to be the hope, to be the belief for others when they don't feel strong enough to experience that for themselves. Melissa, what's going through your head right now?
Yeah. I hadn't even thought about this before when we were talking, but you were saying like we're in the holiday season, and it reminded me yesterday I went into the eyeglass place because if you realize I switched back to my old glasses, I couldn't handle the other ones. They just didn't work for me. I need dark on my face. I don't know. So anyway, I went in there to exchange. Thank God they have a 30-day return policy. So it was perfect. I went back. I got my same, actually I have to go pick them up today, but they got me the same glasses and just put new lenses in. So she's like, now you'll have 2 pairs in case anything happens. I'm like, perfect. But while I was in there, I went in early in the morning, right? I went to the gym at like 7:30. So as soon as I got out of the gym, the eyeglass place is right there. So I was like, perfect. Let me get it done before it gets crazy. It's been so crazy, like in the eyeglass place. I'm like, what's happening? So I went in, I was the first person. There was nobody else in there. I was like, perfect, let's get it done. And the lady that I was talking to who was helping me with the glasses, she was like, I told her, I said, I made sure to get here early before you got so busy. She was like, you have no idea how stressful these 4 months are. She's like, these last 2 months of the year with the holidays. And not only that, but people are like rushing to use up all of their HSA, FSA money, all of their things. She's like, and then come January and February, people got their new cards. So now they've got more. So they're coming in. She's like, these 4 months, she's like, it's horrible. She's like, and people are so mean because they're so stressed during these times and during the holidays. And I was just like it felt so heavy to me. I was like, I remember when I used to feel like that during the holidays. And like, it's like, we should be happy during these times, but instead we're like so stressed. We're like, just get this over. Like,
right. Totally. Totally.
So it's like people are experiencing this everywhere, and everyone needs this, like this healing.
Right. I have a friend that owns a business. It's in walking distance from here, and they had some shoplifters not long ago, and just how scary that is for her, A, being a female, being the one in the store at the time, and not knowing people's state of minds. And she said that people have been so rude and so mean lately. And it's a shame. It's because it's like, this is small town America, like, come on, people. And yet it goes back to the stress. It goes back to hurt people, hurt people. It goes back to wounded people, wound people. And yeah, you're so right. I mean, it's all very much tied together that people need healing. People desire it, but they don't know what to do to get there. They don't know what that bridge is like to go from point A to point B. They want to have joy. They want to have peace. They want to experience the holiday season for all of the hallmark emotions that come up, but then the reality of it is different and it's not matching up. And so, what do you do about that? As we are always here at Uncoached talking about the ABCD process of expansion, which is also kind of what we call the destiny culture, and living that out from day to day, feeling the need for healing, having that recognition and that realization that, like, I'm in a place that is not pleasing to me. That is sort of that trigger that says, I need to be in a season of belief. The believe season is where that healing takes place. Awaken is obviously the season where you're like having that aha that things are not matching up the way that you want them to be. Or you've had that time with the Lord and he has said, okay, you need to take action in this area. Whatever that realization, that revelation has been for you in the awaken, now you're moving into the believe, which can bring up its own fear, its own resistance, if you will, because sometimes inside we're like little children that are having a hissy fit and kicking and screaming because we fear what healing is going to look like. We fear what that process is going to be. Maybe we fear that it's going to be uncomfortable, and yet we're suffering in the midst of not being whole and healed to begin with. So we on our team sometimes say, and I don't know how many times that we actually say it on camera, but like, choose your hard, pick your hard. It's possibly going to bring up some hard things when you have a healing, but it's also really, really hard living from a place of lack and a place of brokenness.
Yeah. I look back to my awakening phase overall, from when I started in my own healing journey. And it's interesting the way God will work with us to tell us okay, it's time to do something, but I look back and I remember I just want to be happy. I just want to have a life that I'm happy. And, unfortunately, a lot of us believe it's when you get the big house and when you get these things is when it's going to happen.
Right.
And it wasn't, when I did those things. And I'm like, I remember I was still miserable when I did that.
Right.
That wasn't the thing, but it's like this inner healing where we really, I feel like we need to be open to it, because sometimes we're so close to even hearing if God's telling us that's what we need, that we're just like, no, like you're saying, it's that hard. You don't even want to think about that. You don't even want to realize that's even a thing.
Right. Well, and here's what ends up happening. And good morning, Kara. Good morning. I'm wondering if it's Joyce that mentioned the person that burned. I hadn't even heard that the tree at Rockefeller Center was burned. Like,
what?
That's messed up.
No, I didn't know.
Meanwhile, I'm watching little feel-good Christmas movies at night.
Hallmark. The Hallmark movies? Is that what you're watching?
Okay, so when you were talking, Melissa, about that, shoot, what was I thinking? Because you were saying, what was like the last thing that you said? I totally
about
lost my train of thought because I was responding to those messages.
yeah, no, that I was saying sometimes we're so closed off to even hearing like what that God's telling us. Okay,
Yes, yes,
we need
yes,
to do
yes.
something. We need
Yeah.
to heal.
So in that case, what ends up happening? Okay, so if we decide, even subconsciously, I'm going to bury my head in the sand, I'm going to avoid dealing with this. He's whispering, he's whispering, he's whispering. And we've got that opportunity to respond to the whisper. And if we don't respond to that opportunity, then guess what? It's going to present itself in a bigger way in our circumstances. And if we avoid dealing with it then guess what? The lesson is going to come back to us in an even bigger, harder way down the road. It may be next week, it may be next month, it may be 10 years from now. Guess what? He's not done with us yet. He's never going to be done with us. But I would much rather work on myself from a place of him whispering than getting to the point of being so stubborn that I've got to respond to the yells. And not that God slaps me in the face, but it to some degree, like the circumstance will allow the circumstances to slap me in the face.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. When we decide I'm going to live in a culture of healing, I'm going to make this part of my lifestyle, then guess what that looks like? It looks like initially you've got big things to heal. You know what I mean? Like it feels like the healing is big and you make these huge leaps forward. And then the next thing that you heal is slightly not as big of a deal. And then time goes by. And here's what has come up multiple times with clients. They will say, this is just such a little thing. Why is it bothering me so much? It's just a little thing. And we say, that's normal. That means you're on the right path. It's like the big fat layers of the onion are getting peeled away. And now there's smaller things you're working on and smaller things you're working on and smaller things you're working on. And it just becomes part of your process, part of the way that you live. You're not going out and searching for wrong things to concoct and to heal and to turn into problems. You're just taking what's in front of you and saying, okay, I've done some really big stuff. I've gone through some really big hards in my life. This next thing that I'm going to heal, or that the Lord's going to heal, it's not going to be as big of a deal. And guess what? The time over time, that practice of you going through the healing process allows you to sort of build up that muscle so that when big things do come your way again, guess what? It doesn't catch you off guard like it would have years ago.
Yeah.
Like it would have when you were a pre-healer, if that makes sense,
Yeah. I always like to say like it becomes like a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was like kind of saying before. Like before I got into this, like I would have been like, heal what? Like, what are you talking about?
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
You don't even realize that it's needed. You don't even realize what there is. And I'm surrounded by so many people who are like that. Just everybody out on the street, like, they just think we're going to keep going through this mess.
Yeah. You know what is coming to me? The picture of, how like distressed wood, I'm trying to think, we have, I think it's actually still in our camper, but if I had it, I would show you guys. So you know how there's like distressed wood. And so there's like cracks and crevices in it. And some people will refinish it. And the way that they refinish it is to sand all of that off back to a completely smooth surface. Okay. Now, some people, when they refinish it, what they do is they may take like a sponge with gold on it or like that whitewash paint, and they're actually bringing out the depth of those crevices and the cracks. Either way, guess what? The piece of wood is not broken. It's still actually whole. It's still all there. All the pieces that need to be there are there. All those little splinters, okay? if the way that you, and when you're partnering with the Lord in your healing, want to shave those things off back to a smooth, shiny polyurethane surface, go for it. If you want to choose in those areas where we've all experienced wounds, we've all experienced those things, those darts from the enemy that do pierce the surface, right, of that wood and of our hearts, of our being, and you want to keep that part on you and yet bring it to the forefront so that it is a beautiful part of your story, you get to do that too. So healing is going to look different for different people. We want to make sure that you guys also know that you are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. This process of healing is simply either a polishing or a drawing out of those wounds so that they become something beautiful. Not even for other people, it's really for you. And the benefit, other people get benefit from that as well. Our relationships become more beautiful. The way that we carry ourselves through the day is more beautiful. Does that make sense? Because we talk sometimes, just the languaging, just to be careful, we will say from a place of brokenness or wholeness, and yet, we want to make sure that you guys know and are on the same page with us, that there are not things wrong with you. You are not a wrong human. You have not been designed wrong. You are not broken.
We all have had these things, so it's no different. Like you're saying, no one of us has never been untouched.
Right.
Like we all, and what's even more interesting is that so many of us have very similar experiences. It may not be the same thing, but it results in that same thing, So when we start to heal these areas, we get to see like how many other people are experiencing the same thing, and how when we heal these areas, we can be helping others heal in those areas too.
Yep. It could be like, we're always talking about roots, and we've got a group coaching program called Roots Group, and anybody's invited. We would love to have you in Roots Group, because we actually coach people through and take people through stuck points and pain, and whether it's mind, body, spirit, going to the roots. That's why it's called Roots Group. Get it? But anyways, it would be like that picture of the vine where you've got the roots underneath and there's weather happening up here. And so what you're seeing on the surface is impacting the vine and the branches, and that stuff's getting weathered. And sometimes it needs to be pruned back and completely cut off. Sometimes the grapes need to be picked. There's going to be different ways of caring for the actual roots from that outside surface as well. So yeah, this is all a conversation really around believe. And when we're talking about the believe season, the season of believe and season of healing, that is really that second phase in the ABCD process. We have the awakening, and one way or another, it shows us that we need to heal and then trust and obey. That other word of trust is like, oh man, that's everywhere right now. Right now, people want to feel peace more than probably any other emotion in the holiday season. People are wanting peace. And in order to experience that, usually healing comes up one way or another at the root of it.
And, healing is like my favorite word. Just it's been part of what I've been doing all along, in so many different ways, mind, body, spirit, like there's healing in everything. Mm-hmm. But having that trust that we can be healed, I think is so important. Yeah. And I've seen it in so many different circumstances where the people who trust that I can be healed in whatever area this is do wind up seeing that healing.
Yep.
The people who don't, like you see it happen. And not that I want to, but I am going to bring it up. My mom, for instance, had cancer, and it was like immediate when she was diagnosed with it. We saw her just go down. And like, she didn't have that trust that things were going to get better. And not even 6 months later, she passed away. Wow. You know, so and we would all say it, like, we know she just doesn't have it in her to trust.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was because she never healed from so much that she experienced.
Yeah.
You know, so I've seen it physically hurt people, you know, when you don't have that trust. And I mean, this was healing that she needed in her mind, which wound up in her body. You know?
I believe the similar thing about a family member of mine where things got worse and worse and worse. And it's because they were focused on the small wrong thing, which turned into a bigger wrong thing physically, to the point of near death. And still there was struggle there. You know, you could just see the internal warfare happening of like, things aren't good. Oh, but this is good. You're alive. Oh, but things aren't good. Oh, but this is good. You're alive. And gradually over the course of time, the focus shifted to, I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I had a good day. Oh, this day's better. You know what I mean? And now the physical health has matched it now over the course of years, and it's gotten better and better and better. But that was to the point of death, you know, like it really was. And then it is crazy. It really is. But we've got to believe that we're worth that, you know, that God loves us that much, that we can believe that it's possible for us, not just for somebody else, but for us.
Yeah.
So powerful. Such a good point. Thank you.
Yeah, it is. Well, you're welcome. Yeah.
All right. So here we go. And of course, we could stay on having these discussions. Thank you so much for you ladies that have hopped on and commented today. Please feel free always, as you are having these discussions alongside of us in the chat, to ask questions if you want, even taking us a completely different direction. We're good with that. Oh, and guess what? Believe.
I noticed that when we did the podcast, actually, when we recorded the podcast, and I was like, you put that there purposely.
I'm going to have trouble taking it down after Christmas. I wish I could take those little, I mean, you can't even tell from the camera. It's just tiny little pine cones, but I don't know, I might have to leave it up all year round. We'll see.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us. This has been lots and lots of fun. Be sure and check out the Destiny Culture podcast. Share that with your friends. Share that with everybody. Because these weeks right now, we have been laying the foundation on that podcast for the general overview in the ABCD expansion process. That was episode 1. And then each week thereafter, we've been breaking it down. And so today, the episode 5, which is the interview with Christy Harang, where she goes into, it's the perfect bridge episode from going into talking about believe and that being the trigger for the next season. So it's actually called Triggering Surrender. And so if you're curious about surrender, we will be talking about that next week. And so stay tuned. That's going to be a huge theme for us for sure moving forward in the coming months as well. So thank you for joining us. And until next time, see you later. Bye-bye.